Hey guys, today's video is pretty in-depth. I'm going to talk about labels and kind of what they are, how they're different than folders. I'm going to talk about how to use them well, how to set up filters, and I'm also going to talk about searching through your email. So if you want to look at searching through email, you may want to skip to the end of the video because I think I got a lot of info to cover before I get there. So the first thing I want to talk about is labels. Labels are like folders. If you're familiar with Outlook or anything like that, it's similar, but there's a fundamental difference that makes it totally different as far as the way that you use it. So I made a little PowerPoint here because it's really kind of hard to explain. So let's say this side here is going to be representative of a folder. So say you get an email. And you put it in, it's an email from John. So you want to put it in John's emails. Now, if you have a folder that, and say it's job 4, this email is an email from John about job 4. So I want to have it in both folders. Well, traditionally in Outlook, that would require you to duplicate the message. So now you would have 2 copies of the email. So what that means is, one, you're using twice the space. And if you come here to John's email and you decide, you know what, I'm going to delete this from John's email. You delete it, you still have this one here, right? So that's different than how labels work. Labels are essentially, they're just that, they're labels. So if, say I get an email, I can put a label on this that says John's email, and I can put a label on it that says job 4 emails. So then in my browser, when I click on the side, I click on John's emails, I'm basically saying, show me all of my emails that have the label John's email on it. So the reason that it's important to differentiate here between folders and labels is what happens if, let's say, I decide I want to remove this from John's emails. You don't go to John's emails and delete this, because there's only one email. If you delete this one email, it's gone from everywhere. So with folders, if I delete John's email here, if I delete this from John's email, I delete it, but I still have a copy of it in job 4 emails. So if I come over here and I click on John's emails, it shows me all of my emails with labeled with John's email. I come to this message and I delete it, the message is gone. So it's not going to show up under job 4 emails or John's emails because it's not there. There's only one email. So if I don't want something to show up under John's emails, then I would come to the label and I would delete it. And that's how I would prevent it from showing up. So I'm going to actually do some examples here because it's easier to just show you. But if you don't understand that, you're going to have a hard time, or not so much a hard time, but you might run into a few issues where you're like, where did this go? Where did that go? And I don't want anybody to accidentally delete things that that they need. So I guess what I'll do, I'll make a label here. So I'm going to make a label related to this tech website that we're working on, and I'm going to put some messages in it. So I'd come down here, I clicked that little drop down, and I'm going to click create new label. And so now I'm going to call it Tech Wolf. Now if I would like to, I could put this label underneath another label. So say this is related to employees, I would have it under employees, but I'm just going to leave it by itself here. So just like that, I create it, and now here it is, Tech Wolf. Now if I had put it under something, it would appear kind of like this, vendor newsletters, but it's not. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a color because I think colors are helpful. I click on edit. Oops, excuse me, not edit. Come here, click label color, and let's say I'm going to do this bright red. It's kind of cool. I use it a lot, obviously, so maybe that's not the best, but for the example, it's fine. So here I have this Tech Wolf label. Now, these 2 emails, they are currently in my inbox. What that means is that they have the inbox label on them. So by default, new messages come in to your inbox with the inbox label. Really, where all of your mail goes is under all mail. So if I look here under all mail, I can see everything. Now you notice these are the labels, these little names here. So you notice that this one has the label inbox, and here's those 2 from Antonio I was talking about. They have the label inbox on them. So they are underneath inbox because they have the inbox label. So I have a couple options. I can add the TechWolf label to it, and then they'll show up in the inbox and they'll show up in TechWolf, or I can replace the inbox label with the TechWolf label so that it only shows up when I look under TechWolf and it is no longer showing up under my inbox. So there's a few ways you can do it. If you want to keep something in your inbox, but you also want to add a label, then probably the easiest way is to come over and you bring your mouse over the label you want, and you can drag it and you can put a label on the message just like that. So I like doing it that way. But the thing is, it's still in my inbox. So now if I wanted to remove this from my inbox label, let's say I want to remove this. So I'm going to check mark these, and I'm going to go to labels, and they're under TechWolf. I'm going to take off the TechWolf and apply that. So now I removed that. So now if I wanted to move this from the inbox underneath that label, I can drag the message itself over to TechWolf, and now you notice it's gone, and I'll do the same for this one. So now it's gone. If I come over here, click on TechWolf, it's going to show me those. And now if I go to all mail and I find it there, here in our all mail, you notice it only has the TechWolf label. So it's only showing up under TechWolf. So now I'm going to look here at this one. This is another TechWolf one. I can also come up here and I can say move to, and that is going to remove the inbox label. It's going to take it away from this inbox, and it's going to show up under TechWolf. Or I could say labels, and I can come here and add the TechWolf and say apply. So in this case, I'm going to do that. I'm going to add the TechWolf label. Now note, doing that is the same thing as dragging and dropping. So if I click on the message here, here's another way to view it. You can see inbox, TechWolf. They both have both labels on this single email. So if I want to take it from the inbox, I could do this. I could exit here. I could exit the TechWolf one. But now you'll notice too, if I come back to all mail, it has both labels. So they are labels. There's one email here and it has two labels. So if I come over here to TechWolf and I delete this message, I am deleting it. There are not two copies of this message. There's only one. So if I delete it here, it's also gone from the inbox because there's only one message and it's in two places because it has two labels. That is the most complicated part of labels. And I know me explaining it might make it harder for you guys to understand because maybe you don't even need to understand it. But I know if you kind of miss this bit of information, you can really struggle. And so when we first switched to Google, a lot of people here in the office ran into this problem, and I had to send out a really a good explanation in an email for everybody. If you can get that down, it's fine. I could label this, excuse me, let me come back. I could label this one with employees, Google support, Maven Link, Prospec, RCA. I could label it with as many things as I want, and then I could come in here and unlabel it because I changed my mind. So labels are really easy to use, and in my opinion, they're better than folders. So, I mean, I don't even think it's a matter of opinion. They really are, because they're a lot more effective. So now let's talk about searching. If you have a message from someone that was sent a long time ago, or it's filed under something, I guarantee you could find it really easily. If you come up to this search bar and you hit the drop down, you'll notice a few options here. By default, searching all mail is usually the best. If you have a specific label you'd like to search, like for instance, I could come here and find my TechWolf. I could click on that, but you'll probably have just as much luck if you use all mail, unless you're searching for a message that from a person you receive a lot of messages from. So now I could type from like who sent it, who it was sent to, what's the subject, what are the words in it, what doesn't it contain. I can do attachments, and I can even search a date range. So that is like huge. I mean, you could literally find an email that was sent to you from 3 years ago from one person that had an attachment all just by using this really easily. So don't just always search up here. I really recommend hitting the drop down and seeing what else the search engine has to offer. So the last thing I'm going to talk about is setting up filters. So let's say I know you guys get your weekly super forms like this one here once a week from Kareen. I could set up a filter up here. I could say, come here, create a filter with this search. Oops, I don't have a search. Here, I'm going to do this. I'll open the message, and I could come here, and I could say filter messages like this. So now it's going to try to figure out what I mean by messages like this. And it thinks I mean just from cmorales@timberwolf.com. But I'm going to say, no, it's got to be from her. And it also needs to have the words weekly super form, right? So from Kareen Morales has the words weekly super form, and it's going to have an attachment. I'm going to create a filter with this search. What I want to do is I want to apply a label. So let's say I want to make a label called weekly super forms. Weekly super forms. So I'm making a new label, and so I'm automatically going to apply that label. I'm not going to have it skip the inbox. I'm not going to mark it as red, but that way they'll all show up and they'll be organized automatically. Hit create, and now any message I get that's from Kareen Morales that has the words weekly super form in it and an attachment is automatically going to come up, and it's going to show up over here under weekly super forms. So they're not there yet. I haven't put them there, but it's that simple. So I know that was a lot of information, and I've had to go through this information countless times with countless people because the labels thing is a little confusing. And I don't think it needs to be confusing. It's just that everybody is so used to the idea of a folder, and that when you have one email in two folders, you can delete one and the other one doesn't go away. But remember, it's one email with multiple labels. If you delete the email's gone. If you get that down, labels are pretty simple. So I guess that is the end of this video. Like I said, I know I threw a lot of information at you. You may want to rewatch the video or just go through and kind of see the process in a few places a couple times. If you have any questions about it, you can always search. There's tons of support online for this type of stuff because obviously you're not the first person to have this problem because there's a lot of people who use Google. So, and of course, you can always call me or email me at gwolf@timberwolf.com.